We mentioned that in this world, the Helam, the Hester Panim of Hashem is absolute, which means that Hashem isn't revealed within anything. However, that doesn't mean that Hashem's energy is equally present in everything. In fact, you have everything in this world contains a different amount of quality and quantity of divine energy, although there's a klipa that conceals it. In general, however, there are four different categories in the world. There's Doimim, Tzemeach, Chayim, Medaber. Although within every category also, there are large, very large, differences between, you can't compare a little piece of a chveis in the vegetation, you can't compare a piece of grass to a cedar tree, and you can't compare in the animal kingdom, you can't compare a bacteria or a little beetle to a giraffe. What? A giraffe. Right? Or to a more complicated, complex being. But generally speaking, it's divided into these four. The world is divided into these four creations, divided into these four categories, as we'll learn in Mitzvah Hashem next week. And that is because the reason why it's divided into four is because everything comes from the Yud Kei Vav Kei. That's the source of all creation. Yud Kei Vav Kei, so we have. That's why everything is divided into four. In general, that's why everything is divided. Almost so many things divide into four. Whether it's the four seasons. We just started spring yesterday. In case you missed out on that.
But why
development.
Why is God's name is divided into four? When God is an infinite entity.
That's a question you can't ask. We're starting now to learn Pirkei Avos soon.
Yeah.
So there's a Mishnah that says that the Pirkei talks about a bunch of different things that are 10. There's the 10 utterances of which the world was created, the 10 Makkos, the 10 Nisim, and the Mefarshim explain what's the point of pointing out that these are 10? Who cares? And the answer is that 10 is a number which represents perfection for various reasons, mathematically and even geometrically, and therefore the fact that all these things express themselves in tens shows on their perfection. In their particular area, 10 represents a complete number, a perfect number. So in a Sikha, the Rebbe asks, it's very interesting that of all these 10s that are mentioned, there's one very prominent 10 which is absent from the list. Aser Kreich Sanefesh, you could say that the Mishnah wasn't.
Aseret HaDibros.
Aseret HaDibros. So I explained something fascinating. He says, why is it that 10 is perfection? 10 is perfection because the blueprint of this world is Torah. And since the Torah is the Aseret HaDibros encapsulate within themselves the entire Torah. So since that's the source of the world, so everything in the world, when is it perfect? When it reflects its source. But you can't say that the Torah is perfect because it's 10. No, 10 is perfect because the Torah is 10. If there were 11 dibros, then 11 would be the number which is perfection. If there was 9 dibros, 9 would be the number which represents perfection, mathematically, geometrically, and in all other areas. So you can't include Aseret HaDibros in that list because then you're equating them. You're saying they're all perfect because they're 10, and that's not correct. Aseret HaDibros is not perfect because it's 10. 10 is perfect because of Aseret HaDibros. Same thing over here. You can't ask why Yud Kei Vav Kei is 4. Once we know that the creative energy of Hashem is in 4, now we understand why in the world, why there are 4 seasons and why there are 4 directions and why there are Eish Ruach Mayim Afar and why there's Doimim Tzemeach and Chayim Medaber. And also in Yiddishkeit we have a lot of different 4s, and we're coming up to Yom Tov, which you'd say 4 is a very important theme of the Yom Tov, right? You have
Kosot.
the four koises, and you have the 4 kashas, and you have the 4 sons, of course, right? Although you have 3 matzahs, which is interesting. There was a whole explanation. Kabbalah, why does they have 3 and 4? But 4 in general is a number which is
by the 3 matzahs, you break one of them, so it becomes 4.
Okay.
Why? Because you break one.
You have to break one for Afikoma. So it's become 4
How many
matzahs.
pieces you have now? 4 pieces.
You break it into more than one piece.
Anyways, numbers in Yiddishkeit are very important. Numbers either side. So the number 4 in general represents creation. Because again, because of Yud Kei Vav Kei.